UPS sponsored athlete Aaron Curtis here. In this series, we're going to go over my off-season training and nutrition, aimed at building as much lean body mass as possible whilst keeping body fat gain to a minimum. With my training, we'll be going over my body part split, exercise selection, rep range, and how I'm going to periodize my training over the course of my off-season. With my nutrition, we'll be going over my meals and all my supplementation. At the moment, I'm eating 5 meals a day. My macros are still pretty low at the moment in regards to carbs and fats, so I've condensed my meals down into 5, as opposed to 6, which I would normally eat throughout my off-season. As my carbs and fats come up and my meal volume increases, I will then at some point increase my meal frequency to 6. Meal 1, which is breakfast, I'll tend to eat at around 4:30, 5 AM at the moment. That will consist of yogurt, cottage cheese, mixed berries, pear, honey and cinnamon. Meal 2 is after work in the morning. I'll tend to consume that around 9:30, and that will consist of salmon and salad. I will then sleep, and then I'll get up and have my pre-training meal, which consists of rice and kangaroo with some beetroot and a heap of salad. After training, I'm having chicken and sweet potato, also with a heap of salad, just to try and increase the meal volume because those meals are quite small. For dinner, which is meal 5, that will be around about 10:30 when I get home from work, and I'm having either kangaroo or beef or chicken, and I'll have that just with green veg. So I try and vary things just to be a bit more healthy. I think food choice is important. I try and choose as unprocessed sources as possible, more so to reduce the amount of artificial flavours, colours, preservatives that I'm taking in. In regards to protein, you want to be choosing foods that contain complete protein. So as opposed to like choosing a bean over a bit of steak, obviously your body's going to utilise the protein in the steak a lot better than from the bean, which doesn't have all the amino acids you need. In regards to fats, I want to choose unprocessed sources of fat. I don't want to have a lot of trans fats in my diet, so I'll choose a lot of nuts and seeds and avocado, things like that. At the moment, my macros are 270 grams of protein, 120 grams of carbs, and 80 grams of fats. Oh, macros are essential. You know, you shouldn't just look at your calorie intake. Your protein needs to be relevant to your lean body mass. And if you're eating no carbs and all fats, then that's not optimal either. So you need to get your macros in order. But if you're trying to keep things simple and your macros are suitable, well then you just need to eat at a slight calorie surplus and look at getting stronger in the gym. I would take in 2.5 times body weight, lean body weight in protein. With the carbs and the fats, for me personally, I feel pretty bad if my fats are under 50. So I'd always want to keep my fats above 50 if possible. And the carbs, I just try and get as high as possible whilst hitting my weight gain targets. So if I've set myself a limit to say I'm only gaining 250 grams a week, well then I'll get my carbs as high as I possibly can, which keeps me within that rate of weight gain. If I'm gaining too fast, well then I'll look at my carbs and my fats and look to reduce 1 or 2 of those. If I'm not gaining fast enough, then I'll look to increase. Let's use me for an example, and I'm deep in my off season and I'm struggling to physically get all the food I need to eat into my stomach. I would then look at increasing fats more so than carbs because they're a lot more calorie dense and I can consume a lot more calories more easily increasing fats as opposed to carbs. If I was starving all the time, I'd probably look at increasing my carbohydrates more so because they're going to take up a bit more space in my stomach. I believe meal frequency is important. It's definitely more optimal in regards to levels of muscle protein synthesis throughout the day to have more regular feedings of protein, say 4 to 6 meals a day, as opposed to 1 or 2 big meals. So if you're looking at overall muscle protein synthesis every day, it's much more beneficial to have a regular feeding of protein. In regards to meal timing, I like to bracket my carbs at breakfast, pre and post training. Is it important? Our bodies are a bit more sensitive to insulin after intense exercise. You can handle a greater carb load at that time. So I'll tend to take in more of my carbohydrates after training than say in my pre-training meal or my breakfast meal. Throughout my reverse, I will increase my calories as frequently as possible and as much as possible whilst keeping below my maximal rate of weight gain. So I've set myself a rate of 250 grams a week. If I'm gaining faster than that, well then I'll have to pull back on my calories. If I'm not gaining that much weight every week, then I'll be able to increase my calories. Every day, just before I train. Yes, I will tend to increase volume towards the end of a competition prep. Towards the very end, my strength will decrease a little bit. I can no longer progressively overload with weight or reps, so I'll try and increase the stress on the muscle with greater volume.